Hi, my name is David Fleming from Disciples Ignited, and we are studying Gems in John, devotional thoughts throughout the Gospel of John. Now, today we're once again in John chapter 18, and previous to this chapter, Jesus has been preparing his disciples for his soon coming death. He's telling them that he's going to be persecuted, that he's going to be come against, and he is ultimately going to be crucified. But yet he even tells them that he's going to be raised from the dead. But y'all, this is really just too much for his disciples to take in. They don't understand what Jesus is really talking about, because Jesus has often taught them in parables and used figurative language. And so maybe this is once again Jesus speaking to them figuratively. But that wasn't the case. He was speaking literally, but they just didn't get it. But today we're going to find how Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. He has been praying to his Father to give him grace, to help him to drink the cup. In other words, to take the full measure of God's will for his life, which is going to lead him to the cross. Listen to what happens when Judas brings in this mob of people, including soldiers with weapons and a mob of other people that are there to take Jesus as a criminal. And Peter takes up a sword, and he's going to fight for Jesus. He is going to fight, even thinking to the death. But how does Jesus handle this? Let's read John chapter 18, verses 10 through about 12. Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus commanded Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" What is Jesus talking about? He's talking about the cross. He's talking about the persecution. He's talking about the suffering that he's about to enter into. He's saying, this is God's will for my life. Shall I not drink the cup that my Father has given me? Then the detachment of soldiers with his commander and the Jewish officials arrested Jesus. So there we have it. The time has come for Jesus to suffer untold suffering that's going to lead him to his death on the cross. But it's not just physical suffering that Jesus is looking towards. He has this knowing that he's about to have all the sin of the world dumped onto him. He is to become a sin sacrifice so that we could be forgiven. How's Jesus handling this? Well, with the determination, by God's grace, to drink the cup that the Father has given him. You know, obeying God's will is not always easy. Sometimes God leads us into paths that are difficult. There's just no way around it. They're difficult. But do we have a determination like Jesus to do the will of God? I pray that you do. Because when you're brought into the valley of the shadow of death, as Psalm 23 talks about, when you're brought into a time that you have no answers to all these questions that you have, and it just seems like it's getting from worse to worse, but you know that you're following Jesus and you know that you're in his will, what do? You keep your eyes on Jesus and you ask for God's grace. And my friend, I promise you, he's always going to give you grace to obey his will, even when it's difficult. Because I promise you this also, the outcome, if you're doing God's will, is always going to be for the glory of Jesus, the advancement of his kingdom, and it's also going to be for your good too, because as Paul teaches us in Romans, that he's going to work all things together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. That means you're loving Jesus and doing his will. So I encourage you to do as Jesus did. Do that which you know God has given you to do, even when it's difficult, even when it leads to suffering. Commit yourself to the Lord and ask Him for the grace and strength that you need to follow it through. Join with me tomorrow as we share some more gems in the Gospel of John. We'll see you tomorrow.